Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I would like to thank our Chair of Finance. I appreciate the work you've done. I also appreciate you earlier recognizing that we have two flagship schools. I do appreciate that. Several weeks ago, when we first started this special session, was talking to several folks from Marshall. And we were talking about, no more cuts and what those effects would be if they were to keep getting cut. And at that time, they gave me this handout that talked about the 11.5 million cuts that they've endured since fiscal year 2013. And talked about, eliminating positions and all these different things they were trying to do just to stay afloat, to make sure they weren't trying to crush the students with continuous tuition increases. And I actually, because sometimes I think when we put things on desks, some people look at it, they turn it over, and I sort of consciously think it's sort of selfish sometimes. So I sort of veered away from that. I didn't want to make it just about Marshall. But as I kept thinking, and when is it going to stop? When is it going to stop? Because unfortunately, I do appreciate the good work that our finance chair does, and I wish the other chamber would listen to their finance chair, but that's not a thing. And we all know that we'll be back here next year with a bigger hole to fill. And it won't just be Marshall WVU next year. It won't be. It'll be more schools, because we all know that education is the low-hanging fruit. So when I start to think about not just Marshall, West Virginia, but the other schools, it was the right thing to do, to try to restore some funding, to make a statement that we're not going to stand for this. We all know that the pathway forward in this state is an educated workforce. We all know that. It's not one industry. It's not tort reforms, not prevailing wage, right to work. Those are all debates that we should be having. We've already had. We will continue to have. Those are great. But it's about us. It's people. It's our human capital. That is our pathway forward. That's why jobs will come in this state. It's your grandchildren, your children, your nieces, and your nephews. That's who we have to look for. Not just for this fiscal year, but going beyond that. We often sometimes also speak on running government like a business. Oddly enough, I agree with that notion a lot. And I'm confused though right now as to why you were cut two of your biggest economic engines. Two of your biggest economic engines. That's not good business. These are your highest ROI that we're making good students, and they're going to be the ones that attract the jobs. What are we doing here? When we think about our population, we lead the U.S. and people leaving. We know that we're the oldest state. We have to do things that are not just keeping our folks here, but is attracting other younger folks. That's what we know that we have to do. It's important that we stand up for our schools. Some might say, well, Sean, those students, they'll just have to figure it out. If tuition comes up, they'll just have to figure it out. Well, the reality is that some of those students really won't be able to afford it. They won't be able to. And then some will go out and get loans, more loans they should be getting just to try to afford it, and get further in debt. Once they get further in debt, that's going to mess them up for the long haul. In the future, it's going to set them back. And what are we saying to the rest of the country? I think there's probably approximately 24 states that they've been in this same situation, and some of them have opted to decrease funding. Well, I think that's an opportunity for us. I think it's an opportunity for us in this state to say that even when times get hard, we're going to let everybody in the country know that education is a priority for us, and we're going to stand out for them. It was also 3 weeks ago that our governor, Governor Jim Justice, Coach, he sat in that chair right there, and he was talking about him, his relationship with President Trump. Great. Talked about when Trump's son, they went hunting, and they talked about things, talked about how to bring business here, bring people here, and then we're going to work together to get us back on the right track, and I'm all for that. I don't care who's president. But the thing that stuck out to me, what Trump said, Trump's son said to the governor, he asked him, why aren't people coming here? What do you think? And he said, well, to be honest with you, I think you're a bunch of dumb rednecks. That's what the Trump clan said. Listen to me now. That's what the Trump clan said. I didn't say it. The Trumper said that. So what we need to do is be marketing ourselves that we're not what the Trumps say we are. And that we are smart people. We are going to put our priorities in education, and we're going to move forward as a state, and we're all going to do it together. That's what we're going to do. So I think that the cuts right there, it's the easy way out. We don't need to do anything easy. It is going to be hard. I understand that. But I think it's worth fighting for. I think all of you all should look out for all the schools, not just in your home districts, but all over the state. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.